this video for almost a year, and I'm so sorry to those of you who have been asking. Honestly though, I'm so glad I waited. My editing skills are not the best at the moment, so imagine how much worse it would have been if I tried to do it a year ago. The hardest part about making this, besides the logistical nightmare of working with two huge, the hardest part was finding the correct sizing for the spherical base. That would be the shape for the 1-to-1 proportion for my Gaara cosplay. I tried a few different options before landing on exercise balls. I tried balloons, I stole my kid's giant soccer ball, I used kickballs, those like big punching balloon beach balls. So many balls. I'm not gonna get through this, oh my god. Grow up. Okay, grow up. I overshot the sizing with my first couple purchases of the exercise balls, but I think I just did the conversions wrong because they were supposed to come with like the circumference that I knew I wanted. They were just way too big. Ooh. I had enough idea of how I was going to tackle this project going in, but for the most part I was just kind of winging it as I went along. I started by wrapping both of the exercise balls with cling wrap, and then I did a few layers of paper mache. I eventually lost track of how many coats I did, but you might not need to do this step anyways. I wanted to reinforce the strength of the shell just so it had better chances of surviving a convention. We all know how crowded those places can be. You never know what kind of damage you're in for. I was just going to use a 2-part epoxy resin, but a friend of mine suggested that I just go full fiberglass. But it was a bit of a learning curve, but ultimately it was worth it just because it's like so strong. I think I did 2 or 3 layers of fiberglass. With the size of these bad boys plus ADHD, it was super easy to lose track how many times. I tried to mark ending points with a Sharpie, but that didn't end up helping me at all. I burned through a ton of sandpaper trying to use my orbital sander to smooth out all the like bumpy resin fiberglass. There were actually a lot of really sharp points from the resin and the fiberglass, and I wasn't expecting it, and I like actually cut myself a few times, so be careful. PPE. After you sand for a bazillion years, let's move on to painting. So I had to figure out the best way to prop these bad boys up so I could like hang them while painting them and try to cover as much surface area in one pass as possible. This is a weird setup I came up with. Use what you have, people. After the first round of primer, I saw for the first time how badly I actually botched the fiberglass. My gourd was looking more like a giant volleyball. I went back and filled, sanded, primed a couple more times just to reduce the ick. I knew I was going to highlight some of the cracks on the surface later on, so I ended up just strategically leaving some of the gaps in the fiberglass. I used like a chocolate brown spray paint for the base color. I'm pretty sure I used this one here that I got on sale a long time ago. And then for the texture of the sand over top, I can't remember, I probably ended up using both of these, but there's a Rust-Oleum textured one and a Krylon? I don't know, this one. They're both very similar, but what's most important was just that you kind of get like a contrast in color. If you can find a darker brown for the texture, then I would go lighter with the base coat. I was hoping in my head that it was gonna work, and it actually did, so I was so happy. Until the texture coating actually ate my base coat of brown. I was so heartbroken, but ultimately it still looked okay, so I just moved forward. If you do decide to replicate this process, I would recommend doing a test of the spray paints that you're gonna use, and then maybe even doing like a clear coat or some kind of protection between the base layer and the textured spray. I use a laser level to help put the stencils I made on evenly. I'll be throwing the pattern I made up on my Patreon for free later if you just want a quick, easy stencil to use. Cracks that had appeared after the painting process, I just hand painted with some black acrylic, just going with the flow, what kind of looked like it should be there. Did some highlighting with this Maron powder. This Maron, oh, I don't think I had to do it. I have no idea where it is right now, but I use this Maron like dusty trail powder just to add another layer of color and dimension to the prop, and I thought it looked really, really cool. I would just maybe seal it after so it doesn't keep like getting dust everywhere. For the top part of the gourd, I just roughly cut out a couple pieces of EVA foam, and I found a lid from the thrift store that looked like the cork that goes in, so I just adjusted the size to fit and hot glued that on. For the red fabric that goes around the middle of the gourd, I just sort of like sloppily sealed the edges and then just kind of draped it around in a way that looks good. I used backpack clips and hot glued them to each side of the exercise balls to attach them both together. You actually can like open it up and put stuff inside if you really want to, but it's kind of a pain. Somebody else can probably figure out a better way of doing this so it's easier maybe to get in there, like maybe permanently attaching the fabric to one of the sides so that you can open one side without messing up the fabric. For the strap, I just screwed in some nylon strapping and away I went. There you have it, your very own 1:1 scale of Gaara's gourd. If you decide to make this using this process, I would absolutely love to see. Please tag me on social media. I'm pretty much everywhere, lurking, Instagram, TikTok, you know. If you do, it's actually really fun. It was a bit overwhelming at the start, but it was like so worth it, so cool. If you have any questions or you want me to go into better detail about any part of this process, please comment down below, or feel free to join my Discord if you want to join our makers community. Everybody's welcome. I'm currently working on Dame Aelin from Baldur's Gate 3, as well as Mikasa from Attack on Titan. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. I'm not gonna get through this. Well, I butchered that spelling. Wow.